Hello, it's time once again for a little good news, spreading God's good news, if only a Saturday at a time. I'm Isaiah, and welcome back if you're a returning listener, or if this is your first time to the show, I also want to welcome you. Thank you so much for clicking on this video and trying something new. Now, if you haven't heard this, or if you want to hear it again, this podcast is entirely Christian. And what I do here is I try and educate as well as equip those who don't really know what footing they are with God, or you just don't know what to do next. So, sit down, have a snack, and enjoy. I hope you learned something because I certainly did.
Hey guys, welcome back once more to a little good news. I'm sorry for the bit of an late upload. If you don't know me personally, today, the day I'm recording this, which is February 21st, on a Sunday, is my birthday. I'm turning 16 today, and I want to thank you, all the friends and family that wished me a happy birthday. If I didn't get to tell you directly, thank you very much. God has blessed me with another wonderful year, and especially one with this podcast that I've got to learn, and you guys have heard all this stuff before that I've got to learn, and yada yada yada. And so today, because I feel very old, being 16, and being old sucks more than you would think. I promise you, it feels like I'm old. Yeah, I won't actually be old until probably 60s, 70s. But anyway, I was thinking back about all the times in my life that had seemed important. And one of those, of course, was 5 years ago, 2011. I was called into a ministry position. The lead pastor at our church at the time had come to me and asked me to present a 3-minute small sermon on just kind of an intro before worship. And I said, okay. And that was my first thing of writing down a sermon and really feeling God move in my life. And that was the first time that I gotten a taste of it. And once you get a taste of that, it's a downhill run where you want more. And funny enough, I talked about love. It was very short, and I looked over, and it was kind of dumb. And not dumb, but it was, to me, unprofessional, I guess. But it worked for an 11-year-old, and it did better than I had hoped. And I think God had used that, especially to teach me. And it talked a lot about love and how Christians should love and what love is. And I thought, hey, today's my birthday. We're going to do this on the birthday weekend. Might as well go back to an old topic and see what I can do with it now with my hopefully new knowledge of how to write one of these things, how to research, and the new scientific evidence that has been proven. Of course, again, all links will be in the description of the websites that I use, so you can go and research this yourself because it is an amazing, amazing thing. Now, the first thing is love is, in all of its entirety, it's in your head. Not only that, many times the Bible will talk about your feelings being in your heart, your emotions being in your stomach. So, love, in scientific terms, is a chemical reaction in a certain part of your brain that would, we all have the basic need to reproduce and yada, 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 yada. Just some psychological facts about love. Men are more attracted to women who possess a bone structure that resembles their mother's, which I'd always heard as the old wives' tale that you marry a woman like your mother, or for females you marry a man like your father. I thought that was cool, that's a scientific thing. And one of the biggest ones was the act of falling in love is known to have a calming effect on a person's body and mind. This will raise your nerve growth levels for about a year. The fact that it would have a calming effect when many guys that I know would could say it would have the complete opposite because of theirs. And love not only has this psychological effect, it very much has a physical effect. like increased heart rate, the dryness of the mouth, sweating, nervousness, increased stress, and that has all the things to do with just the mental connections that are going on. But what I really wanted to get into was the wording of love. And I've said many times, and I think I talked about it last week, the English language is very clumsy. And I think that's the best word to say it without being negative about it. It's a very clumsy language. Because you'll notice we only have one word for love. And you're saying, Isaiah, what does that matter? Because you only need one word for love. And that's not true. It's extensively not true. The Greeks have 6 words for love. 6 or 7, depending on how you look at it. And the Hebrew has 3. Now, Greek, the Bible was originally written in Hebrew. Its first translation was into Greek, so I'll go over both. But let's go over the Greek first, because that's what we hear usually. There are 6 types of love. The first being eros, which is a sexual passion. That's what you get, when you look at a beautiful girl and you feel that temptation rising up to you. That's the eros love. There's also philia, which is a deep friendship. That occurs within friends where, I love you, man, ludus is a playful love. That's when you're hanging out with your friends and you're just all joking around. That's ludus. There's I'm sorry, I am going to butcher these to heck. Pragma, which is a long-standing love. This is when you see people have been married for 40 or 50 or 60 years, that they love each other so much that they're willing to do anything to keep their relationship alive. Philanthia, which is the love of the self. Well, philanthia can be, they've talked about it where it can be 2 different ones, where you can get very selfish. The love of the self can overcome that of your, the next one, agape. But your philiotic could come over, but it can also be where, I like myself enough where I can love everyone else. Then there's agape. Now, agape is the most important, because agape is what we talk about in the Bible, especially when we're talking about God or Jesus. And it's a love that's unconditional. It's a love that knows no bounds. A love that overcomes anything. And it's the love that we use a lot. When I say I love you, usually I'll probably mean ludus or eros, depending on who you meet. Now, as a Christian, we should agape people. We should love people in the agape way of, I don't care if you're a homosexual, you're an atheist. I don't care. I love you. Come here and give me a hug if you need a shoulder to cry on. Come on. I'm not going to tell you you were wrong. And what's interesting to me was looking in my King James Version Bible, as well as on the internet, it says in agape, the love for everyone, the fourth love, and perhaps the most radical, was the selfless love. This love is extended to all the people, it has also been translated into Latin as caritas, which is the origin for our word charity. Now, what I find cool about that is, most of us, if you go to a wedding that's very Christian, you'll hear 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8, which is love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, love does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, and it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. But where there are prophecies, they will cease. Where there are tongues, they will be stilled. Where there is knowledge, it will pass away. That's generally what you would get at weddings, where, oh man, love is, they're talking about love in the best sense, how God loves us. He's patient, kind, he's not envious, it does not boast, he isn't proud, he doesn't dishonor others, and it's not self-seeking, and so on and so forth. But if you go to your King James Bible and look at the same verse, it says, charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not, charity vaunteth not itself, is not puffed up, doth not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh not no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth, beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Charity never faileth, but where there be prophecies, they shall fail. Where there be tongues, they shall cease, and where there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. The one main difference, other than some slight transitions and different uses of words, is the word charity instead of the word love. And because we've translated it in English, we've automatically done love. But here it's talking about agape. It's talking about this unending self of love where we just put love into it. A very clumsy and kind of a fixer-all onto it. And I think that's extremely important. If you can specify which love you're talking about, it makes all the difference in the world. Because I could say, for example, in Greek, I love you in the ludus way instead of the philia. And that can have a huge impact because we're just playful. We're, not great friends, but we're friends and we're hanging out and awesome. Yeah. But instead of it's a philia, it's a we're in this together. And another verse that I wanted to talk to you guys about today would have been, I'm actually trying to look this up on the website right now, and I feel really dumb. I think it's down lower. Proverbs 17:17. I actually had it marked on my Bible, and this is what happens when you don't really think ahead. A friend loveth at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. Now, that's a very short verse, and it has a lot packed into it. But if you go to the notes, if you have a study Bible, the Hebrew word for brother, ach, can be used to generally relatives. One pure purpose of a relative is to uphold the family member in adversity. An unlikely but possible interpretation is that a friend is better because he loveth at all times, not just in difficult. I don't know about you guys, but many times I see families in which a parent is not that much involved with their child, and it's very much a difficult walk for that child. If you remember our episode on kids, something I didn't talk about was the crime rate for children without parents, and it increases dramatically if you don't have a father or a mother, and the anger that you can hold in, it's enormous, and it's extremely sad. But then you see many times, and I wish I could see it more often, where the step-parent or stepfather or stepmother tries extremely hard to be that child's parent, where they try to love that child, even though they're not theirs, that they love unconditionally. You're not my child, and I have no reason to, but I'm gonna love you. And a lot of times that turns out to be where that stepfather has or stepmother is more of a parent than their biological parent ever was. And this is what my take on it is, and that's the beauty of some of these verses in the Bible, and some just kind of thought experiments where you really get to open up. You really get to see what your beliefs are and how they stack up against other people's. And my view on this is a friend which you choose. Because I think many of us have heard friends are just the blood brothers that you choose. That these friends that we choose and these family that we choose actually end up being closer to us than our actual family sometimes. And many times it's our families have really strong ties. Like mine, I'm an only child. My parents are my best friends. I would do anything with my parents. We've grown really close over 16 years, and I couldn't imagine one without them. And so not only are they just born to me, I'm born to them, we're friends. and they love me at all times. And a brother is born at time of adversity, or in my book it would be difficulty, that they would love you even when it's difficult. They would help you through it. Okay, what are we going to need to do? Anyway, 5 years ago, and I get to share a bit of my testimony, I talked about the love, and I talked about how in God's book, in God's love, that 1 + 1 has got to equal 1. You got to have two spirits, and then you have to combine them into a single soul for God. And that's difficult to do. And it's a powerful thing when it happens. I have one of the greatest examples of a marriage. Two, if we're going to be honest, my grandparents and my mom and dad. And I know not all the people out there have a wonderful example of marriage in front of them. But my parents, they don't make me watch, but they have fought in front of me. And I understand that fighting is not a natural thing to come out of marriage. I mean, you're putting two people together that think different. I mean, we all think differently, and so it's a difficult process to get used to each other. As well as, I mean, you're going to fight over some things. Everyone fights over some things. But the way that they rebound, and yeah, they may have been yelling, or not yelling, they don't yell at each other, but they may have been arguing with each other. But you know what? We're still going to go out. They're still going to make up. You know, they may apologize or they'll compromise or something. They'll work things out, and they always have. As well as my grandparents, they've done an amazing job showing me what a true marriage should be like, and I want to thank them for that. But love is a very powerful thing. Now, we've talked about how some emotions can also be a defining feature. Someone can be greedy, someone can be courageous, someone could be virtuous. Love is not one of these things, but it is just as powerful as those things. Love and hatred are the two things that, well, I mean, it's like two ends of a battery. One's positive, one's negative. You can't have one without the other. It just seems kind of natural. But what matters is love is overcoming. And we see that these things are two sides of one coin, where love is ongoing and forever. And yes, it's difficult, but it's forever, working far better in the long run. But hatred works better for the short term. You don't look at the longness of holding your anger in, you just unleash it. I think it's funny that we unleash our hatred, but we never unleash our love. We give it out. We give love. And if you've ever unleashed something, it's violent, it's sudden, it's erratic. And one thing that I've learned is anything that's sudden, anything that's very erratic is damaging. Whether that be to you, whether that be to the people around you. I was watching an episode of Game Theory. A good channel, as well as he has another channel, Film Theory, which is what I was talking about, but Game Theory is his main channel. Anyway, where blowing up the Death Star in Star Wars would have had the same effect of a gigantic depression because of the materials used and all these things that it had done. Blowing up the Death Star would have led the galaxy into an economic crisis. This erratic change in behavior, this unleashing of hatred, this unleashing of anger and the pent-up rage of the oppressed people would have led to a far worse result for the entire galaxy than simply Luke and Leia and Han going up into the council and taking him down diplomatically. Because if Emperor Palpatine's rise to power was very slow and it was very calculated. And really, when he stepped into power, nothing truly changed. If we're going to be honest, most likely the economy rose in the galaxy because of the materials that he was using and blah, 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 science. But anyway, the point was erraticness, this sudden jump, this sudden explosion would have caused a far worse effect than simply letting everything take its course and you take things slowly. You take things bit by bit. And it's interesting to me to see what people choose. Because the older I get, which I am not old by any means, I'm pretty young, I'm still a child. But the older I get, I see more and more that kids will choose some of the shorter term actions over the long term ones. They'll see the long term actions, but they simply want that reaction quicker. They want to see an end result now. And you can't. Because, as another Greek saying would be, there is no such thing as a free lunch. There is no such thing as something without consequences, which is another thing that my parents have done very well of teaching me, that there's a consequence for everything. A consequence. A consequence. Amazing word that I just came up. A consequence for everything. And I guess that's all the time we have for today, and I wanted to leave you with a bit of a challenge and a question. What kind of love are you giving? And not only that, what choices are you choosing? Are you choosing stuff that would help you in the long run? Or are you choosing the sudden, the erratic positions that are only going to serve to hurt you? And I guess if you guys will all bow your heads or close your eyes, if you will, if you don't, that's fine. Lord, we just thank you for this wonderful day. Lord, another wonderful year that you have blessed me with new knowledge, Lord, with new friends, Lord, with new grace, Lord, that you have given me every day. Lord, I thank you that your strength abounds so deeply, not only within me, Lord, but with the people of the world. Lord, that each and every one of these people who listen to this, and those who don't, Lord, that you have placed them in them, a spirit, a power that cannot stay dormant once it is awake, that it cannot stay enclosed once you have shown them the true life. I ask that you would bring them peace, strength, Lord, whatever they needed. You'd show them yourself this week, Lord, this year. In your mighty name, amen. Well, I wanted to thank you guys again for another one episode. I'm sorry once more for the late episode. It's been the whole birthday kind of rush and stuff, and I wanted to thank everyone for the gifts that they got me, and know that you didn't have to do that, and I really appreciate that. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, or if you want to know a little bit more about the stuff I talk about, please leave a comment down below or message me if you want it to be a little more private. Thank you very much. And remember, be blessed.